Hey everyone, thanks for joining. And my name is Kunal. I'm really excited for this talk. It's my first time in Poland, and the weather is really nice. I live in London, so we get rains and messy weather. So this one it's really good. About me, I am a DevRel Manager at Sibo. I'm the founder of We Make Devs. It's a community I started, and CNCF ambassador and stuff. So yeah, you get the idea. So my talk is about tools to increase Kubernetes developer productivity. Things are getting very complex. Not sure why. And when someone asks me, like, why is Kubernetes so complex? I really don't have a straightforward answer. I think K8s is complex so that your applications can be simple, if that makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges. When you're working with Kubernetes, while it can be really powerful and flexible, there can be several challenges for developers. Oftentimes, devs are like, we just want to focus on writing code. We don't really have time to work with YAML or work with all these the infrastructure projects or whatever. So the number one challenge with Kubernetes, as I already mentioned, is the complexity. It's very complex. So many moving parts, including so many objects like pods, deployment, services, and devs need to understand and navigate this complexity to effectively deploy and manage applications. The next one is also something that is pretty straightforward, the learning curve. The learning curve is very steep, especially for developers who are new to containerization and the whole orchestration world. And understanding some of the core concepts like pod, replica sets, controllers, it can take a little time and efforts as well. Config management, so managing configuration files like YAML and JSON manifests, can be a little bit challenging. And when you're working with like multi-cluster, multi-cloud environments, service discovery and networking, that's another challenge. Kubernetes has its own DNS-based service discovery mechanism. But configuring and managing these, maintaining these files across various environments, it can be a little bit tricky. Monitoring, that's another complex issue because K8s can be really complex, and when you have so many moving parts, it can get a little difficult. So many domains in monitoring, like cost monitoring sometimes, like who has a difficulty in understanding their cloud bill, maybe. You have like a very complex cloud bill, and there are startups and many companies who are just focused on this. If you are involved in like the cloud native ecosystem, you may have seen that you can relate with this meme. This is the CNCF landscape. All these individual dots and boxes you see, these are the projects, individual projects, and there's like quite a few. So I did a talk at KubeCon around navigating the CNCF landscape, and it can get a little bit overwhelming. I can go on and on. Security, it's another big challenge, big issue. Troubleshooting, that's another one. So something went wrong, you're like, okay, what happened? I check my logs and what the pods failed and everything. So troubleshooting and upgrades, it can get a little bit overwhelming. So those are some of the challenges. Now, how to improve productivity? So you mentioned that it can be a little complex when working with Kubernetes, but there are several practices and tools to improve productivity. I'll show some tools in this presentation. I have categorized it in various like departments, like monitoring, troubleshooting, security, management, and for those I'll mention some of the tools. The tools I'm mentioning, most of them are open source and they're free to use. So you can get started without paying for anything. And that's one of the highlights. So how to improve productivity? Automation, that's one. Leverage automation tools and frameworks. Infrastructure provisioning, CI/CD pipeline. We have the whole GitOps thing going on. And just let's just look at some tools. Let's just dive straight into it. So the first category we'll look into is the most talked one in KubeCon. Everyone was talking about it. It's called security. Security is a very important topic, and when you're working with so many services and with microservices and stuff, how they communicate with each other and stuff like that, things can be pretty easily missed out on. So let's look at some security tools. Most of these tools are also in the CNCF landscape, so you can either contribute, you can check it out, give your views. All the open source in the repositories, everything can be found. Nice. So the first one is it's a very popular one. It's Kubescape by Armo. Kubescape is a powerful and freely available Kubernetes security solution that caters to the various aspects of securing Kubernetes environments. And it has integrations into IDEs and CI/CD pipelines and clusters. And you have if you work with Docker images or whatever, it has image scanning and provides a pretty comprehensive set of features, including risk analysis, security assessments, compliance checks, and misconfiguration scanning. It's in the CNCF landscape. I believe it's a sandboxed project, and yeah, you can leverage Kubescape. If you're a Kubernetes user, administrator, you can streamline your security practices. Anyone here who uses Kubescape? One, two, that's it? Oh, it's a popular project. You can check it out. So you can significantly reduce your time, effort, and resources that are required to maintain and secure a compliant Kubernetes infrastructure. So as I mentioned, it's a CNCF sandbox project. It utilizes another CNCF project called OPA, which is the Open Policy Agent, basically to verify Kubernetes objects against a library of posture controls. And by default, this is just a CLI output. So you can see the severity of the checks that have run. So the number of failed resources, excluded resources, all resources, and the risk score. So these controls, you can basically, it's basically like a set of rules, if you will. And now the whole ChatGPT thing is going on. So they have also, I believe, launched a ChatGPT feature. Everyone is doing it. Why not? So you can actually use AI to just create a rule that would set these many limits on a pod or on a cluster, or CPU limits or memory limits. And then when your cluster reaches those limits or whatever, the checks will basically show that. So yeah, these results, they are printed in a console-friendly manner. You can export it to JSON and HTML or PDF, whatever you like, or a cloud provider, any cloud provider you use. And it basically retrieves the Kubernetes objects from the API server and runs a set of snippets that are developed by Armo. So if you want to see a demo, I'm using multiple screens here. So just give me I'm going to mirror it. Okay. And here we have Kubescape. I think I am logged in. Am I logged in? Yeah, I'm logged in. So here I have my Minikube cluster. This is just a local cluster that you can add. This is a cloud cluster. You can use any cloud provider. I'm using Xevo. But it's pretty straightforward to add. I think you can just, over here, from here somewhere, you can add in a cluster. If I take a look at this one, it has all the versions of it and whatever. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show. So here you can see status failed, and you can add filters and stuff. And here it's showing you all the, basically like this is not good. This is like your cluster is not secured right now. So many things that you can do. And it also shows you how to fix it. So like remediation here, it shows you how to fix that. And you can, if you click on this fix, you can now actually deploy the changes as well, which I think is pretty cool. You can run a scan from here if you want. You can add another cluster, or you can run it from CLI as well. Again, it's a CNCF project, open source, so you can check it out. What else do they have? Repository scanning, so you can directly add in a repository link. It'll scan that. Registry for like your images and stuff. And there was one more thing. Yeah, frameworks. So security and like compliance frameworks, like if you talk about NSA, so these are all the rules for that, right? And I mentioned about, like there was a somewhere here, if you talk about custom rules, that you can utilize ChatGPT to create your own custom rules as well. Just a history and everything that you can see. So yeah, you can try it out yourself. Best use on Chrome. You also have an RBAC visualizer that you can use. Probably I should use Chrome. Anyway. So yeah, I think it's Kubescape on GitHub. Yeah, it's in the CNCF landscape. You can check it out. Open sourced, and if you're wondering to get started with Kubernetes security, yeah, I'd highly recommend this. All right, moving forward. Nice. Another open source tool, when we're talking about security, we talk about, let's talk about access. You have companies and you have folks joining in. You have to give them secure access to applications, databases, servers, Kubernetes clusters, VMs, whatever. It's a good open source tool for that. It's called Teleport. Another open source tool, cloud native, modern SSH server and privilege access management solution. It's designed to secure critical infrastructure and provide secure access to servers and applications and your Kubernetes clusters or your databases or whatever, as I mentioned, across cloud and on-premise environments. It simplifies authentication and access management by offering features like multi-factor authentication, role-based access control. You have the sessions recording, audit logging, lots of features. The aim here is to enhance the security and compliance while improving productivity and reducing the operational overhead for system administrators and the DevOps teams. So pretty nice features. How it works, basically, so if we talk about the authentication and authorization part, it supports various methods, like the popular ones what are those? SSH keys, certificates, and when a user, let's say, tries to access a resource, it verifies the identity and performs RBAC, which is role-based access control, to check that they have necessary permissions. It also has a secure proxy, because basically it acts like a proxy server between the client and the target resources. And when a user initiates a connection, they get connected to the Teleport proxy, which can then securely forward traffic to the appropriate destination. Session recording and audit logging. So you can also record user sessions, including terminal sessions, file transfers, port forwarding. This basically allows people to review and audit the user activities for compliance and troubleshooting purposes. Web-based UI and API. It has a nice user-friendly web interface. I just want to do a quick poll for my own curiosity. What do you prefer? Like I showed you Kubescape, right? You can work with it using the command line or the GUI. Same with Teleport and other tools I'll mention. So what do you prefer in general, working with like CLI or the GUIs? Raise of hands for CLI. Okay, hands down. Raise of hands for GUI. Yeah, 2, 3. All right. No worries. Thanks for the vote. What else? For Kubernetes, it provides secure cluster access as well. You can integrate with the Kubernetes API servers to provide secure access, and it allows users to authenticate using their Teleport credentials and securely connects them to the desired Kubernetes resources, be that like pods or deployments or whatever. So yeah, overall, it's pretty cool. Very robust and secure, and I think they're very popular in the access management domain. I mentioned this because it's open sourced. So again, you can just try it out. I think it's Go Teleport, the website, and on GitHub, yeah, it's completely open sourced. Nice. Cool. Another one with microservices that can get a little complex is testing. So let's talk about testing. So with testing, I'll mention another open source tool. This is also in the CNCF landscape. It's completely open source, free to try out, free to use. It's called TestCube. It's in the CNCF landscape. It's a Kubernetes native testing framework for testers and developers and DevOps practitioners that allows you to automate the execution of your existing testing tools inside your Kubernetes cluster. So when we talk about testing, we often think of CI/CD pipelines. This is a different version of that. So it's not running tests in the pipeline, but it's running like, the tests are running inside your Kubernetes cluster. That's like the one point I'd like to mention to make it, like, to explain this. The tests here with TestCube are running in your Kubernetes cluster. And it removes all the complexity from your like CI/CD pipelines and stuff. And if we talk about like some of the features or benefits, so as I mentioned, it runs inside your Kubernetes cluster. So what are the benefits? Why do we care? It provides networking security benefits because you're avoiding the need to expose the cluster to the outside world. The testing orchestration and the execution engine of TestCube, it can be triggered from any CI/CD tool, offering vendor neutrality and compatibility with various tools. What are the popular ones? Like, you name it, Circle CI, all the GitOps approaches, your GitHub Actions, GitLab, whatever. So the idea of like why I am mentioning tools that are open sourced is so that you all don't suffer from vendor lock-in. That won't be nice. I won't be looked as like you'll cuss me. Anyway. It also enables, like I mentioned, a GitOps-friendly testing strategy, allowing tests to be defined using Kubernetes custom resources, since it's running inside the cluster, and you can manage it alongside infrastructure as code tools like Argo CD and Flux. As I mentioned, it utilizes the Kubernetes custom resources to make tests native to Kubernetes, simplifying the management and execution of the test definitions. It provides a centralized reporting for storage of test artifacts. This basically eliminates the scattering of test results across multiple systems and offers a unified format for reporting. Tests can either run on demand with TestCube, or like you may have, it's pretty obvious, you can schedule those and trigger those based upon the like deployments or like your labels or your targets. Yeah, and you can schedule it at a specific runtime or manually through the CLI or their dashboard, or via an external API. Right. Now, when we talk with like devs or like folks who are maintaining these projects, things can go wrong, and how do we fix that? So we talk about debugging and troubleshooting. So let's talk about troubleshooting. So tools that helps with troubleshooting. Another open source project we have here. They have various parts, I believe, are like it's free to use, and you can check out their GitHub repository. It's Commodore. So Commodore is a platform that is designed to help developers and DevOps teams troubleshoot and resolve issues in Kubernetes environments more effectively. I love Commodore. It's very nice. Apparently, so many of these tools are from Israel, Tel Aviv. Which is nice. It's like a rising tech hub. I just realized while I'm presenting. Yeah. What is Commodore? As I mentioned, platform designed to help developers and DevOps teams to troubleshoot your issues in your Kubernetes environments in a much more friendlier way. You don't have to spend too much time with what went wrong and how it works. I'll show you a demo. And it provides the control over complex microservice architectures that are running on Kubernetes clusters. And if you talk about the features, then the first one is, well, if you want to talk about troubleshooting, you cannot skip talking about observability. So it collects and consolidates all the logs and metrics for you and the events from various Kubernetes resources. Something went wrong, you have to see what triggered that, and what resource triggered that, and what incident happened, what event happened that led to this failure. So you can get the insights into the behavioral and performance of your applications. The next one is incident management. So the platform helps track and manage incidents by aggregating and collecting data from different sources, enabling users to quickly identify the root cause of the issues. And it streamlines your debugging process. Change tracking, so you make a change and then your things go down. So it keeps a track of that. It keeps a record of all the config changes that are made to the Kubernetes clusters, including like your rollbacks, your deployments, your updates, or whatever. And this basically helps in understanding the impact of the changes on the application behavior. Most of these open source tools, projects, communities that I'm mentioning, they're also very collaborative. So teams can effectively collaborate using Commodore's incident timeline, which provides a centralized view of all the activities and the discussions that are happening related to an incident. And then there's rollback and recovery as well. I'll just play this demo. Hold on. Yeah, so that's basically the dashboard, and you can use this. You can just copy the command and install it on your cluster. And again, your local Kubernetes cluster, that's fine. Your cloud cluster, whatever you want to use, and you can see it's categorized in terms of your the resources, like the kind of resource, in which namespace, in which cluster. Everything looks green, means it's all good, all healthy. And it provides real-time updates. Something goes wrong, so it'll be like, okay, what went wrong? You click on it, and then it will show you the entire, events and things that triggered it, and at what time and in what section or whatever. So yeah, you can check out the timeline, and you can check out the details, it gives you the possible reasons for that. So when you click on a specific event type that has failed, it will give you what is unhealthy, what is happening, and what might have caused that. So you can check out the logs and everything. So yeah, as I mentioned, a centralized platform, and yeah, highly recommend trying it out. So Commodore also has some other open source projects that are very specific use cases. If you're working with Helm, then there's a Helm dashboard project. Also, it's open source, free to use. You can check that out. It visualizes your Helm dashboards. So I think if you're working with Helm, give it a try. There's also, I think, one called ValidCube, which validates your YAML files. So within your YAML files, the security vulnerabilities or whatever, or the how it is structured and everything, I think you can use that as well. That's also open source, and it utilizes many other open source projects. Cool. So that was Commodore, and yeah, how do I stop this? All right. Cool. This is another open source project. It's the Network Mapper by Authorize. Why did I mention this in the troubleshooting section? Because it's a zero config tool that aims to provide, be a lightweight, and it's very lightweight, and it doesn't require you to adapt to anything in your cluster. The goal is to give you insight about traffic in your cluster without a complete overhaul or the need to adapt anything to it. So how your services are communicating with each other, how they're connected together. This network mapper basically provides that. Authorize, they promote the concept of this thing called intent-based access control. So basically, they're aiming to make service-to-service access control transparent and easy for service developers. Their principles include seamless self-service access without any additional steps, decoupling the access control and enforcement from the software development, and maintaining security and compliance without disrupting the existing code. If you work with a lot of microservices, then you can use the Network Mapper, which is an open source project, and it can help you visualize, all these things. In intent-based access control, which is something they have termed, you can declare the intended service-to-service interactions in a client's intent file alongside your code. And when the code and the intent file are file pass review, access is automatically granted to make the declared calls. And it's pretty scalable and agnostic to the type of calls that you're making. And yeah, they also automate the management and provisioning of your credentials, ensuring more security, and any access not explicitly declared is automatically blocked. So a lot of emphasis on security here. So if you talk about this demo, That's actually my demo only. You can see my face here. It's a pretty short one. So to support the intent-based access control, they start by providing a network mapper of the Kubernetes cluster. And using the network mapper that is running in the cluster, you can then optionally, have an enhanced visual graph based on the information. And when it is deployed, I mean the intents operator is deployed in the cluster, you can get a lot of information like access control and your rollouts in the IBAC in the cluster or whatever. You can do a bunch of things together. Nice. So that's the network mapper. If you want to learn how your microservices are communicating with each other, check it out. Next one. How do I just pause it? Maybe management. All right. So let's talk about Kubernetes management, because it can get a little bit overwhelming, especially when we're talking about multi-cloud, multi-cluster, a lot of things to consider. So the first one is OpenCP. So when we talk about the Kubernetes like control plane, in a distributed system, it consists of various software components that are responsible for managing its states. For example, the API server, etcd for the data storage, control manager for reconciling states, and in Kubernetes you have the scheduler, you have kubectl, so many things. So the control plane acts as a central control point. It ensures the desired state matches the current state in Kubernetes. Like, okay, 5 pods should be running, 5 pods are running. These many deployments, that's running. Something goes down, Kubernetes will fix it. But when we talk about the cloud computing journey, there has been a struggle with fragmented tooling for deploying and managing infrastructure state, especially in hybrid and multi-cloud environments. While appreciating the simplicity of tools like kubectl or kubectl, whatever you want to call it, there are concerns about the additional layers of abstraction. So, for example, vendor-specific APIs and CLI-based tools that require some extra education and adoption of proprietary practices and some costly subscriptions. So how do we simplify this process? So OpenCP, it's an open source tool. It's pretty new, so it's still in development. And this basically offers shims that significantly reduce the complexity of provisioning deployments across multiple cloud providers. And so it doesn't live inside the cluster, right? It's the source of truth over here is your cloud provider API. It's not really like idea is that it will be there are some, as I mentioned, it's new, relatively new. So some of the things that I think they're working on is it's not 100% compatible with kubectl. So that's something to keep a note of that. So for example, the secrets live in memory right now, and you need to find a solution to make it in place. But yeah. How does it work? What are the benefits? So it's like a single open source tool that allows you to manage your cloud provider without a cluster and without learning a proprietary tool only used by your infrastructure provider. So you can do all sorts of things with your cloud providers, not just one, but multiple cloud providers, just by using kubectl. And it simplifies the managing multiple cloud platforms, making it easier to interpret with public cloud, and if you use edge environments and things like that, any public cloud or on-premise Kubernetes clusters. It simplifies the learning journey as well and reduces the complexity of setting things up and configuring the current tools for your cloud infrastructure provisions. It basically makes things a little bit easier. It's open sourced, so you can try it out. Already built on top of the existing best practices of kubectl and kube API, and it's open sourced under the Apache 2 license. Yeah, cool. Right. The next one, when we talk about management, it's if you don't like working with the YAML files, it's another tool you can use, which is called Monocle. So I'll show I think I have it installed. Monocle, do I have it installed? They also released a web version. So maybe I can use that. So it's a new computer. Yeah, so they have a desktop app as well. If you want to try that, I had that installed like previously. But yeah, it's also open sourced. This is also CNCF landscape project, I believe. And yeah, you can try it out. Let me just stop my screen share. So some of the features include you can navigate the Kubernetes objects pretty easily, and you can check how they're connected with each other. You can manage multiple projects, compare resources. If you don't like writing complex YAML files, then it can help you create those things automatically. Let me just show you. Let me stop mirroring. Here we go. Nice. So here I can see all my applications, as you can see over here. And this is the file explorer. So you have multiple resources here. Your Helm is here, Customize is here. And this is what I was talking about. So if you want to check out this deployment, then you can see what this is like linked to. So you can see over here. Similarly for ingress, right? So it gives you lines like where it's linked. If we talk about services and stuff. And you also have your, you can integrate it with GitHub. And you have what I wanted to show you if you don't like working with YAML files. Hold on. You can filter it accordingly. And how do I? I think they moved it somewhere else. You can actually do, it's maybe in the, you can actually use their tool to like create YAML files. It's pretty cool. And yeah, you can validate your resources as well, and see things that are not good practices, so like running as root or whatever. And how do we policy agent? Not sure. Have to check again. Anyway, there's one more thing you can do. You can compare resources. So let's say you have a cloud, like you have your tools or your code on the GitHub repository, and then there's one on your local desktop. You can compare it, and so you can compare how it's like sort of like different and what all things have changed, and you can share it and stuff. So if you're using infrastructure as code tools, there's this term for like cloud drift, and I think you can utilize that to work with it. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and I think there's a bunch of things you can do here. But yeah, you'll have to try it out yourself. Maybe you can check the docs. That will help. But yeah, there was a really nice feature. I can't find it here right now. This was like create a new file, and then you can use a template to create a new file. But anyway, you get the idea. All right, let's move forward. We're almost there. Main display. All right. Right, this is the one. Hold on. I think it's in the desktop for some reason. So if you go to this, and you can go to the create a resource from a template, this one. So you can set templates, because I use it in the desktop, and I don't have it installed right now. So you can create templates, and you can create like your resources, like your pod or your replica sets or whatever, pretty easily. It's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to close that. I'm going to close this too. Right. Cool. Another one. This one is actually not, I think it's not free. They have an open source community, but this one is it's too good to miss. It's Lens. It's an IDE or GUI tool for managing Kubernetes clusters. And it's pretty cool. You have some nice features, like you have the cluster overview, and you have a real-time monitoring system. You can explore clusters, terminal access, which I think is very nice. You can switch between multiple clusters, and it will automatically integrate the terminals accordingly. You have context switching, resource visualization, a lot of things. Let me see if I have it here. Yep. It's opening up. But yeah, Lens is great. It's very nice. Lens IDE. Demo gods are not with me. Hold on. I'll do the... I actually have a nice sticker in my bag. It's called like Demo Gods Be With You, or if you want one after the talk. Or I have one called We Deploy on Fridays. So that's a nice one. Which is ironic because I have a 4-day work week. We take Fridays off. Anyway. Some subscription issues, I think I'll have to resubscribe. Just 1 second. Download. No, it's going to take a while. Never mind. Yeah, we can use this screenshot. That's fine. So here you can see you have your various workloads, right? You have your pods, your deployments, your all sorts of Kubernetes objects here, and these are like those objects. These are the types, and here you can have your visualization of your cluster as well. Now it has, when you click on any resource, it just gives you all the information in a nice format, and the CPU memory usage, the networks and file system. You want to do port forwarding and all sorts of things. You just click a button and you can do that. You can have your configuration, your network. So here you will have your egress and stuff, your services, your port forwards and all sorts of things. Storage for your volumes and on all the storage classes, your namespaces, if you're familiar with like new namespaces, to like categorize your Kubernetes environments, and that's a different one. These boxes that you see, hold on. These boxes that you see, these are like different Kubernetes clusters. So you want to switch between different clusters. Like, okay, this is an AWS one, so GCP one, Azure or whatever. You can just click on this, and it can like switch between those. And this terminal that you see over here, this actually it's connected with your cluster, so you can directly run your kubectl commands and whatever, and it will automatically point to the cluster. It's pretty cool if you try it out. It's a free version. What else? You can share it, like if you want to give access to your Kubernetes cluster to your teammates, like you want to work with them together on your Kubernetes cluster. Oftentimes you may give them like some credentials or whatever so that they can try it out. With this, you don't have to do that. You can just use they have a sharing feature, like a collab feature that teams can use. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, you can try it out. Overall, it simplifies your management, and if you don't like working with, again, YAML files, this is great. Lens also has a section where you can create your Kubernetes objects and refactor those and everything without working with YAML files. So it's pretty nice. All right. We talk about kubeslice. So kubeslice is another open source project. It's for multi-cloud, container orchestration, and it expands their application architecture across multiple clusters. You can have it in different locations or with multiple cloud providers. And when we have these clusters in different regions and with multiple cloud providers, what we need is a seamless way to connect those and communicate between these. So kubeslice helps with that and addresses these challenges by integrating the connectivity and pod-to-pod communications across the clusters. And the cool thing is, it doesn't matter if it's in different clouds or physical locations are different or whatever, it doesn't matter. So if you're working with multi-cloud, check kubeslice out. And one of the key features is the use of, as you can see, an overlay network that creates network isolation. And this network overlay allows the communication between the clusters without the concerns about IP addresses overlapping. And you can have, you can do a deep dive in the documentation, see the architecture. It uses working with subnets or whatever. You can configure it based on the number of pods and that are located, and you can ensure intercluster reachability and things like that. So it's like a logical application boundaries, and these are what is known as a slice, and that eliminates it doesn't matter whether it's in one region or another region, and that's how it enables the Kubernetes pods and services to communicate with each other effectively across the clusters and cloud environments, data centers, edge locations, so on and so forth. So yeah, the framework is very comprehensive. It combines the network and the application and the deployment services. And overall pretty cool. If you're working with multi-cloud, multi-tenant, multi-cluster stuff, check it out. That's it. Last but not the least, it's an important one, which is cost. Cost is a nice topic. Everyone wants to reduce their cloud costs, and cost bills can be complex, like figuring out stuff. So how do we simplify that? There's a tool that you can use called FinOut, and FinOut is nice. They have some bunch of features. I'm not going to share more about it. I'll just do the demo. I think I have an account here. Let me just check. So yeah, this was for people who are, let's say, if you're working with, if you're working with, any cloud provider or anything, you will be working on costs and stuff. So previous quarter, if you check this out. So yeah, that's FinOut. They have an open cost model as well that basically helps you analyze how you can reduce your costs. There's this one thing they use called the mega bill, which is like the total cost, like a big, all in one together, and you can group it by, you have the virtual tags, you have, let's say, various Kubernetes allocations, you have your own custom stuff, and you can filter it out accordingly. All the basic stuff that you expect from cost monitoring tools. You can also check out, if I check about, hold on. cost guard, yeah. So here you can, this is what I like. You can group it by various, tags, and you can also create virtual tags, do all sorts of things together. So here are the virtual tags, like environment, team, demo. There's one more thing that they use. It's called cost per customer. This one, this by which you can use to utilize which customer is costing you more, and yeah, you have some information around cost per customers, right? So how much is the customer spending with you, and you can prioritize then and do all sorts of things together. The dashboards, you can check those out. There's some unified dashboards here. Anomaly detection provides that as well. You can set budgets, reports, resources, yeah, all sorts of things. It's for you to explore. And yeah, I just wanted to mention one tool for cost monitoring. So if you're, yeah, if you want to work, if you're looking, if your cloud bills are too high, probably, yeah, check it out. Nice. I like the virtual tags. I think I'd recommend you to try that out. And also the cost per customer. I think that's pretty cool. All right, monitoring. This is the last section, and these are also pretty nice open source tools. So eBPF is getting very popular. And Ground Cover, it's a Kubernetes application monitoring solution that revolutionizes, in its field by using eBPF. And it's specifically designed for modern production environments. And you can monitor your cloud-based applications and infrastructures pretty instantly without compromising on cost or scalability. And you can monitor your entire Kubernetes stack without making any code changes. That is because it uses eBPF instrumentation. It provides Kubernetes native observability, allowing you to access all application logs and metrics and traces and Kubernetes events in a single unified platform. Installation is pretty easy and pretty quick. It takes like less than a minute, and yeah. See, I have because I'm running out of time now. Maybe I have it signed in. Think so? Yes, I do. All right. So if you're looking for a monitoring solution, open source community, check this out. So here you can filter it out accordingly. Right now, it doesn't say that I have any with issues. It says 1. Probably not a big issue. Field container. Yeah, so you're getting your issues. You can click on that, do a bunch of things together. You can check out your workloads. If you want to see just the daemon sets, you can filter it accordingly. Yeah, there we go. And you can also check out the requests and number of restarts, all sorts of things. Again, you can filter it according to the namespace. Yeah. Issues. Yeah, check those out. I'm running out of time, so you can you can explore it yourself. Traces, API catalog, your logs, your Kubernetes events, bunch of things that are available here. Right. One of the most popular tools, let me talk about that now. This is another one. It's called NetData. This is a monitoring tool created for sysadmins, DevOps engineers, and developers. It's very popular. It's in the CNCF landscape, open sourced. The great thing about this is it's free to use. So you can use it for free. You can get started today. It has it's very popular. It has I think 65,000 stars on GitHub or something. It can be installed on various Linux distributions and also container platforms like Kubernetes clusters, or if you're using Docker. Yeah, and in the CNCF landscape, you can find it. It's easy to deploy, one-line installation, and as I mentioned, for K8s and Docker as well. It requires zero configuration and maintenance to collect thousands of metrics per second from the underlying OS and its applications. It has pre-built charts and alarms that are available. If I show you the demo, I think I have that here. So yeah, it's a free monitoring solution that you can use. It's pretty powerful. It's in the CNCF, so it's like there's a credibility, and it's free to use, so you can check it out. It also has a minimal resource requirement, so with just 1% CPU utilization, low memory usage, and it also provides per second granularity for an unlimited number of metrics, allowing detailed monitoring based on the hardware and applications. You can export stuff, and it's optimized for troubleshooting as well, visual anomaly detection. You can have customized dashboards if you want. So you can see these are my nodes, right? And if we talk about Kubernetes, here we go. It's grouped. It is like a heat wave, heat chart over here, right? Because of the resource, like the limits. You have your dashboards here. You can have your custom dashboards, your alerts, anomaly detection, and it uses some machine learning to do that. Yeah, it also supports distributed metrics, and also the data being stored at the edge ensures that it is secure by design. All right, that's it. I'm out of time, but yeah, that was the presentation. A lot of tools, a lot of open source projects. So yeah, you can try it out. I'm still exploring, so if you find any tools that you like, let me know. I'd love to try those out. And thank you. I hope that was helpful. I think the video is being recorded, so you can find all these projects on GitHub. Yeah, hopefully that was helpful. And thanks a lot for joining. I really appreciate it. Have a good rest of the conference.